And welcome, Dr. Barry here, favorite board certified internist, founder of drpierresblog.com. Most importantly, the host of Lunch and Learn with Dr. Barry. And this is my weekly recap of episode 54. And we had, if you notice a graphic in the beginning, Rodina Massadou, licensed clinical social worker, who came onto the show to really help us, the community, learn what sexual assault is, what consent is, and really give us some very interesting facts on just sexual assault in general. And I can tell you it was definitely an episode I was excited for, and just from all of the feedback that I've gotten over this past week, it seems that you guys were excited as well. And I think especially with what's going on in this day and age where every time you turn the TV, listen to the radio, read a newspaper, you hear someone being accused of sexual assault or sexual battery or some type of deviance regarding their sexual behavior. I think it was important for us to kind of get off the ground and understand what all of that actually means. Being a physician myself, I know just how important it is to really be able to define terms properly, to be able to know how to treat, right? And to be able to know how to heal from it, right? So when I got to the point where I felt like every time I saw some action being done, whether it be, multiple different actions, it was kind of put under this umbrella of sexual assault. So I wanted to make sure I brought in an expert to kind of like help educate us and guide us on the way to, make sure that, when we do see these terms on TV, we're able to identify and we're able to, plan accordingly of how, a healing and the treatment process needs to go. And Rodina was absolutely amazing. She's, again, a local, I'm from South Florida, if you may not remember. She's a local licensed clinical social worker. She works at Soul Springs, Florida, and the link is in the show notes. And I'll put the link in our comments in our editorial box as well. And I want you guys to, really, take heed. If you have not listened to the episode yet, definitely an episode worth listening to, where you can hear some of the important, not only terminology as far as how, especially in the therapy world, they define sexual trauma, sexual assault, sexual harm, but how they go about healing. And I think probably one of the biggest life lessons that I got from the episode is honestly who gets affected and how young, right? I think it was kind of lost on me. This is something that doesn't just affect older individuals, whether it be men or women, right? And I really have to stress the men part, right? Because I think that a lot of times get brushed under the sun. And you kind of hear that bias where when they're talking about sexual assault, they usually frame it in the subject of women, but understanding that a lot of men get sexually assaulted, sexually abused as well. And that's something where Rodina really helped drive home at the end of the episode, understanding that this is not just an issue that affects women. This is an issue that affects men as well. And most importantly, this isn't an issue that affects adults. It affects children, right? As young as 12 years old, you see that that predominance of risk factors associated with kids who are affected by sexual assault. So again, I absolutely love this episode because it helped kind of establish a foundation here, especially within the Lunch and Learn community, on what sexual assault is. So again, when we're educated, when we learn and we want to empower ourselves, we understand, yes, I hear that term, but I understand exactly what you're trying to say and trying to mean, right? Because we all know words have meaning. And I think it helps us kind of springboard onto next week's episode. Next week, we're going to be talking with Marlene Francois, who is also a licensed clinical social worker who specializes in, clients and victims of sexual trauma, as well as sex trafficking, right? Which is, again, a very interesting episode. So stay tuned for that when that comes out on all your favorite podcast episodes. But if you had not had a chance, if you had not had a chance, link is across the bottom. Go ahead and check out this most recent episode 54 with Rodina Massadou, where we really hit home the important points of sexual assault, consent. That's another thing that, especially for, people who work in the workplace, especially when men work in the workplace, you got to understand that now, right? Like, I don't want anyone to be shocked or surprised when something goes down at job place, because what you thought was consent really wasn't consent, right? So definitely something to take heed of and, understand the importance moving forward. So again, I don't want to beat a dead horse. An amazing episode you need to listen to. Like, in fact, the link will links across the bottom. I'll have the links in the description of this video as well. Go ahead and check that out. And if you don't know, you can find it at all of your favorite podcast apps, whether it be Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher Radio, iHeartRadio, Spotify, SoundCloud, all of those places where you can listen to podcasts at. This episode and the Lunch and Learn with Dr. Barry is also there as well. So again, thank you. Not going to take your take all day. Just want to kind of give a quick little recap of what went down on episode 54. And you know what? We're going to see you guys next week.